This thing is huge. This is the new S1 FLSUN printer, 3D printer. It's printing a vase right now. It's actually a pretty large vase, moving around at an incredible speed. And the filament's got a built-in filament dryer up here. Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy, and I have got a brand new 3D printer here in the shop, and I didn't have one here at my home shop because I've moved my 3D printers over to the other shop about 6 miles away. So FLSUN contacted me and they said, hey, would you like to try one of our new printers? And I've never had a printer like this before. I've always had the XY gantry printers going back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. So I said, well, you know what? That's perfect timing because I do need a printer for this shop, and I'll be glad to take a look at it and review it. And if it's any good, I'll post a review up on the internet. So that's what we're here to do today. We're here to take a look at this brand new, huge FLSUN printer. So let's get started. So let's start with the shipping. I was a little concerned when this arrived because this package was really beat up badly, and I wasn't here when the shipper showed up. So I was a little bit concerned. We wheeled this back to the shop, and this box was beat up and punctured on every side. I mean, there was just not a spot left pristine on the entire box. But we come to find out that the way this was packaged, it had really super thick styrofoam around the printer. And there it is. I mean, it survived without a problem. So there are the glass doors. Very little assembly to this. Those glass doors had to be put on. There you can see there's the printer, the control panel in the front with the LCD screen, and the doors are really the only things that needed to be put on. So we were hoping that that LCD would light up, and it sure did. And we were ready to get some work done. So my son went ahead and finished putting on the glass panels. There you can see it's got that built-in filament dryer. And of course, it came with all the accessories you would expect: an extra hot end, some glue for the bed, some grease, the snippers, the tools. And there it is, all finished and ready to go. So we're ready to get started with some testing now. So once we got everything put together, I should say my son got everything put together, I went ahead and ran a couple of the test prints that came on the file. I know you're not going to be able to see this because of the color of the filament, but this came out really super nice. I was really shocked. This little cat, and I guess it's to test the geometric features, just came out really great. I did this vase for my wife, and this is really came out really surprising because very fast project. I'm going to wind up, going over the snowflakes with some white, and I think I might even reprint it and print it in a green filament, but it's heavy. A lot of filament this took. I don't think you can see the inside, no, but there you can see the bottom. All of the layers, there was like one line shift right in there somewhere, but other than that, nothing that you're really going to see. And in fact, most of this came out looking almost like a resin printer, if you ask me. And I'm no expert on these at all, but really nice print right there. And I went on to print a bunch more. I'll show you those in a moment. So first prints were great. I felt comfortable. I didn't want to go and do anything that, I thought might fail. And then I found out that I was not able to get this printer to fail. So everything that I did, I got the New World Trade building, and all of the details are really fine in here. all of the little windows and things right up to the top. It did have an antenna that was about this much higher, but this was supposed to be a 4-foot print right here. So I just scaled this way down, and of course that antenna with the supports that were on it, I just broke it off. I wasn't even gonna try and do that, but the detail in this is really just amazing. There are virtually no line shifts in this whatsoever. So I did that. I did a bunch of other stuff. Let's take a look. I'll switch over to the other camera. Let's take a look at some of the other things that I did. And I'll spin around here and show you some of the stuff that I did. So this was, I did a couple of print and place things. This is one here. This is a Christmas bell. Came out amazing. So this, I'm actually going to print a couple more right tomorrow. And this is about a week before Christmas. And get these painted up red and green so that my wife can hang these inside the house. So that one came out really great. This was another print in place right here. So this is the, you know, the nut and bolt that you've all seen before. Came out absolutely perfect. Not a problem with this file whatsoever. So this is the second one. This is the third print in place that I did. And this is just a wall hook. So this wall hook is going to hold my hats. When it's not in use, you flip it up. When you want to use it, you flip it down. So I did a whole bed full of these wall hooks, as you can see here. I did some paint pyramids, which came out absolutely perfect. And these are for when I paint my projects next door. And then I decided, I was feeling pretty comfortable, and I said, let me do something that I've not been able to do on other printers before, except obviously on my Bamboo Labs. So these are my Hobby Guy standoffs, and these are flexible for laser engraved products. And you put a magnet in the back and you put it down on your laser bed, and these came out absolutely wonderful. So I had a problem with my other printers with that, and always had a problem with, I guess it's my design more than likely. So all of these came out perfect, not a single issue. Then I decided the thing is really noisy, which anybody that reviews it will tell you. So I did this included file that's on the control board. And this is the noise reducer. And it actually works, does its job, what it's supposed to do. The print came out absolutely perfect. And so I decided to do some cookie cutters. This is a Mickey Mouse. I know you probably can't see that. And then over here, I've got different size hearts that fit one inside the other, cookie cutters. So those came out perfect. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different hearts. So all of these files, I did a President Trump, as you can see over here. Came out wonderful. Really, really nice. It's 2-part. And this part fits on the base. I still have to paint it. I did the praying hands, as you can see here. Everything in this came out just incredibly nice. Really nice job on these praying hands. And all of these files, or many of these files, I got off of Tinkerverse. And you can get them too for free over there. So these are just some of the files that I've been printing. I'm going to get to printing these bells today. And I was really surprised and happy with how that bell came out, especially with all the details and parts that are in here. Came out absolutely wonderful. So this is the last file that I printed right here, and which came out absolutely perfect, by the way. And I just wanted to show you something in here. This looks like almost exactly like Bamboo Labs in here. I found it extremely easy to use. But let's take a look at the device. And here you've got everything that you can imagine in here, including the webcam. It shows you the video sideways, but you can monitor your print. You can do this also from your cell phone, And there are just all types of controls that are in here. Right now, I've finished printing those. You can see the remnant from the glue stick there. I've finished printing those standoffs, and now I'm printing the noise filter. So this is going to sit right on top and reduce some of the noise that comes from this. In fact, people say it reduces quite a bit of the noise. And this file was located on the printer itself. So they already know about the noise problem, and this just sits right over that inlet and takes away a lot of the noise. Everything that you need is in this slicer, and I know that a lot of people have had problems with it, but these are just some of the prints that I just printed, and actually so far, these are the prints that are on the printer. I'm sorry. And I sent this painter's printer a pyramid over there. I haven't had a single problem with this, so I'm not quite sure what the problems that people are having. One thing I will say, if we come back over here to the device and the webcam, this is not printing at 1200 millimeters per second. That seems to be the maximum acceleration, like between projects. If you had like 4 or 5 pieces on here, that would be the maximum acceleration. This is the object that I'm printing. This is the fan silencer. Up here, you can see the flow rate, okay, so which they advertise as 110. And you can also see the requested speed over here. So the requested speed is right now 39 millimeters per second. And that doesn't mean that that's the actual speed. So that is, if I put my mouse over here, requested speed. I guess there's a lot of marketing hype, in that 1200 millimeters per second. And you'll see that sometimes the requested speed on this is jumping up to like 500, 494, 500. It'll go even higher as it gets wider. But if you look at the actual speed on the printer, it's not, you're not printing at 1200 millimeters per second. But I will say that those little standoffs that I printed over here, they did print in, probably 1/3 the time that it did on my Bamboo X1 carbon. So it is printing faster. The way this thing works, I'm used to the XY printers, and I just find it absolutely amazing, the technology behind this. And so far, I've had a great experience with it. Now, if we take a look and talking about speed, so we come over to the advanced settings here and look at the speeds. This is their default profile here for their high-speed PLA HS. Most of these settings are going to look pretty familiar if you're using other printers. The layer speeds in their default profile, the outer wall 200 millimeters per second, the inner wall 300. Come down here, sparse infill 800. This is their default settings. What they're promoting and what they're advertising is their travel speed and their acceleration. And here you can see travel speed is 1,000 millimeters per second. And here's where that 30,000 number comes in. Normal printing, and that's acceleration. So that's the time that it goes from one point to another. And yeah, it does save you a lot of time, but these are more like advertising numbers, if you ask me. Outer wall acceleration, inner wall acceleration. So you got to take the numbers that they advertise with a grain of salt. So let's talk about some of the important stuff. And I admit that I am no expert user, and this video can probably prove that to you. I did not run a bunch of torture tests or anything else. What I did do was I printed everyday objects in the way that I would be using this printer. And in fact, I did have, before I get to my little notes up here, I did have something that my wife asked for. And it's a little bit bigger than anything else that I've printed. she asked me for, being that I had the yellow filament that they so graciously sent me, she is matching some sunflowers to a spare bedroom that we have that's sort of like a flowery decoration. And she asked me for a fake sunflower vase. So I went online and I found this vase and I scaled it up to exactly what she asked for, 15 inches. So that's what you see here. It's exactly 15 inches. And I got to tell you that this came out absolutely perfect. Even scaling it up, not a single issue with this. Bottom is absolutely perfect. And you may go online and find out about some issues that these printers were having about 3 months ago. So everything about this vase came out absolutely perfect. I can't find a single problem in the entire vase. Maybe that's because I'm not an expert user, but for the things that I print, this thing printed really fabulous. Everything that I threw at it, it printed without an issue the first time. And if you go back about 3 or 4 months ago when this printer was originally released, you'll find a lot of bad videos. They need to fix this and they need to fix that, and the slicer and so on. And it appears that they've addressed all of these issues, because what you see here in this video is my actual use of this printer over the course of a couple of weeks. And I printed a whole bunch more stuff that I haven't shown you in this video, just because I was testing it and I needed a bunch more stuff. So I probably did. I've used up all of the filament that they sent me, and I also used up some of the FLSUN filament that I had on hand. And I got to tell you, I haven't had a single issue with this, anything like you've seen in those videos from a couple of months ago. And I think the reason for that is I did not do a firmware update on the machine. So I'm guessing that it's got new firmware. All of the issues that you're going to find in those past videos were either firmware or software related. And I did not have to do a firmware update on this machine. Firmware was up to date. I did have to do a software issue. So I started with version 2, and that was okay for the first couple of days. Didn't really like it so much. The prints came out acceptable, but not perfect. Not like this. Not perfect like this. Not perfect like a couple of the other prints that I've got that I did on the newest version. But it upgraded from 2.0 to 2.01 to eventually 2.02, which is the version that I'm running right now. So I think they have addressed all of those little fiddly problems that you're going to find, and even the dimensions, the dimensional accuracy. I took and measured it precisely on my standoffs that I designed. I knew exactly what the measurements were. I knew what the inside measurements were for the magnet holder. I knew what the depth was supposed to be on the little flap on top, and everything was spot on. So I wanted to just mention this because you will see those bad reviews. So make sure that you check the date. As of today's date, which is December 20th of 2024, any videos I think that you'll see that are within the last couple weeks, and I've seen a couple new ones come out, people are going to be singing the praises of this printer, as I am. And again, I didn't run any toaster tests or, high-speed tests, flow rate tests, or any of that. But I did notice that it printed everything that I threw at it faster than any other printer that I've got. And I've got a couple of fast printers. I've got 2 of the Bamboo Labs, the A1 Mini, and I've got the X1 Carbon. And this was quite a bit faster. And, neither one of those would be able to print this. And this was 6 hours and 18 minutes, by the way. That's an incredible speed for the amount of V's that we've got there, and 15 inches tall. I mean, just did a wonderful, wonderful job. I can't find a single flaw in it anywhere. So keep all of that in mind. Even though I am a 4 or 5 year novice user, I only use it to print things that I need. And if it prints things that I need, that's what I need. So again, the version of the software now, the slicer software, is version 2.02. I did have an issue upgrading that. So I wound up, instead of hitting the upgrade now, that never worked. I did have to wind up going to the website and downloading it directly from there. Not a big deal. In the latest version of the software, they've fixed the webcam so that it's now vertical. It's not horizontal sideways anymore. So it is vertical. And I've seen a lot of changes to the PLA profile, which is what I've been using. And I did have something I had to print in ASA, and I was able to do that at 300 degrees Celsius. So it does even have an ASA profile in there, which worked flawlessly. So talking about some of the things that other people have talked about was the noise. For one, yeah, it's noisy. It's got that CPAP blower in there that keeps everything cool at high speed, cools your print at high speed, and it makes a lot of noise. But that one little piece that I printed that was already on the controller cut that noise in half. So there are people out there saying, "Oh, I can start this print and go across the house and still hear it." No, I don't think so. Without the noise filter, I started the print in here, went to the office next door, and I couldn't hear it. So I don't know where all of that comes from. Some people just need to be, entertaining, I guess, or extreme. But so the things that I like about this, it's got the Wi-Fi connection. So just send the file directly to the printer. I've been sending it to the printer without starting the job from my computer over Wi-Fi, and that's because I have to go over there and just click the little box that says to record. So because I've recorded as you saw, a few of these videos in high speed. I love that feature, by the way. This is a version of Clipper, and I find that it works very well. Now, I've never had a Delta printer before, and I really found it fascinating. Simple things for simple minds. What can I say? I found it really fascinating watching. I watched that entire first print, and it was just amazing to me, the way that it works, the technology that's involved in it. Very, very, very cool. Now, I did, even though this one is only 15 inches, I did find out that, even though they claim that it's much bigger than it is, it's a Delta printer. So on most Delta printers, this one in particular, you're only going to be able to get to about 385 millimeters tall, which is still a pretty big print job, because, as it goes up, it sort of scales more to a point. So unless you've got something that's going to come to a point, like maybe my World Trade Center, for example, you're not going to reach the full volume of the printer. So you're safe in that 385 millimeter scale. The AI, I didn't find that it worked. I'm guessing that that's a wish as far as the company is concerned. They're going to probably implement that in the future. Some other people have found that it works too good. I found that it didn't work very well. I actually went during a print, and I opened the door and I threw some PLA on there. That first run that it makes, I had a whole bunch of those. I threw that on the bed and didn't do anything. So that's probably going to be developed over time, I would guess. Back to the slicer. The slicer is it's like a Prusa slicer. It looks just like the Bamboo Lab slicer. I would probably say that they should spend more time on creating their profiles and, let people use Prusa slicer or whatever other slicer they want to, and just create more and better profiles. Now they do have profiles for just about everything in there, including carbon fiber. So I don't think that I would do the carbon fiber with this hot end, but they do have the profiles in there. I also want to make a disclaimer that this printer, FLSUN sent me this printer and 3 rolls of filament for free, so that I could test it and make a video on it. But my videos are completely autonomous. So while they have sent me a couple other emails in the meanwhile, we'd like to see it before you publish it. And, the answer is politely no. You're going to get to see exactly what I want you to see and exactly how I used it and my raw opinion of it, my raw, honest opinion of it. So, yes, I got it for free, and it's a great addition to this, to the laser lab here, but they did not influence any part of this video in any way. This is all of my own doing, and I publish these as I see fit. One of the great things for me is having that full enclosure and having that dryer built in, because I'm here in the laser lab and it's a dusty environment. So I like the idea that everything's closed and I don't have to worry about dust getting in there, getting on the mechanisms and having to clean it often and grease it off it and all that good stuff. That is the disclaimer, I guess, that's involved here, along with some other thoughts. I love the fact that it's the size that it is. Even though it takes up a little bit more space, it's not that much more. I've got it on the middle of a 36-inch square table. It takes up, like half of that table. I'm not going to get into all the specs on this because you can look those specs up if you want to. You can go check this out at the website. I'm going to put the price along with the website in the description down below. And actually, you can just click on that link, go over there and take a look and look through all the specs yourself if this video is not enough for you. Again, this is not a tech video. So I'm not a 3D tech. I'm not a 3D guru. I am experienced at CAD, so I can make my own parts and things, which I do regularly for things around the house. So the question is, at this price point, which I believe is about $1,500, about the same as the X1 Carbon. So which one would I choose? And I have to say, I don't know. I don't know which one I would choose. I would likely choose this one only because that I can do, I can do these big files on it, and they come out perfectly. So I did unplug the power while it was printing, and it continued to print. So there is that capacitor bank that's on board in case you get fluctuations in power, which I sometimes get out here in the shop. And being in Louisiana, we get a lot of these little power off, power on scenarios. And so that's what I did. Pulled the plug. I waited a couple of seconds and plugged it back in, and it was fine. I also did pull the plug and wait for the capacitors to run out, and the whole machine turned off. And a few minutes later, I plugged it back in, and it did resume where it left off with no issues. So it's got all of the features that I think I like. The only thing that I want is a printer that prints well. Talking about speed now, I'm guessing that this is probably the fastest printer on the market. It did really well. I couldn't imagine how long this vase would have taken me on the Bamboo Labs, but it would have likely been 12 or 13 hours. So at a minimum. So this does print a lot faster. I think if I had to buy it, I might go for the bigger build. That's about it as far as the disclaimer and what I think of it personally. I happen to think it's a great printer. I think it's going to be a great fit for here in the laser lab, and I think it's going to be running a lot of prints. So if you're going to be comparing this with other videos that are out there on YouTube, like I said earlier, make sure that video was done in December of 2024. The ones that are 3 and 4 months old, apparently they had a bunch of issues, and everyone talked about that first layer that first layer being not smooth. You know, look at that. I don't think first layer gets any better than that. So, you know, that was a software issue that they fixed. And I haven't had a single issue with it. That's all I can tell you. So I hope you enjoyed this video today as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And as always, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bourbon in my hand, all fish on the fire. Rich Louisiana, hot the guy, never tie, got my laser engraver. Been making everything right, carving my name day and night, wooden signs and plaques, personalized.